no matter who the government is, whoever's the next administration, left or right, they fear a whistleblower. They fear the market knowing what's going on. They fear, remember when the Waltz signal messages that was going on in the meeting and that was leaked? No president wants that to be leaked. It's a form of a embarrassment, like you don't have control of your leadership team to leak information to you. Why would a sitting president, pardon Snowden or Assange?
I'll give you the reason. First of all, in the transition, after Trump was declared the loser of the 2020 election, but before he left office, so that November 6th to January 20th period, I was working very hard to try and convince Trump and the administration.
That was the perfect time.
He came extremely close.
That was the perfect time.
He came an inch away. Patrick, he came an inch away.
Wow.
I'll tell you what happened. As you probably recall, that was when January 6th happened. And after January 6th, it wasn't just Democrats, but also the Republicans who started an impeachment proceeding against Trump, the second. And the question was, why are you impeaching a president who's 2 weeks from being on his way out the door? And the reason is a lot of the Republicans, the establishment types, the ones who are loyal to the security state, were petrified that Trump would do certain things on his way out. They were petrified he was going to declassify JFK files, Martin Luther King files, other files that he was promising to declassify. They were also really worried he was going to pardon, particularly Snowden. Assange was on the agenda. He never really got close to Assange. And a bunch of Republican senators made clear to him, if you pardon Edward Snowden, we're going to let this impeachment proceeding go through and we're going to convict you. They had a kind of sword of Damocles hanging over his head.
Republicans or Democrats?
Republican senators, sort of the Mitch McConnell crowd, Tom Cotton, the main person leading, because he had a lot of people he trusted in his ear urging him to pardon Snowden. People like Matt Gaetz and Rand Paul, people who are very close to him, kind of more privacy-oriented people. Because this is a thing that people forget. Trump hated these agencies. Remember, these agencies spied on Trump's campaign. The NSA, the FBI, they spied on his campaign in 2016. He was at war with the CIA. He was at war with the deep state. Trump, before Trump ever got into politics, he was one of the people I remember very well when we did the Snowden reporting. He said, Snowden's a traitor, hang him, execute him. But then once Trump understood what these agencies really were, the abuses that they're capable of, that they inflict this on the American people, that he himself was victimized by it, he had a kind of soft spot in his heart for what Snowden did. He wanted to pardon Snowden. And he got so close to doing it. The reason he didn't
How does so close mean? Define so close.
Well, and by the way, I knew what was going on because I was very involved in kind of lobbying the Trump administration, working with them. But you don't have to take my word for it. After Trump left office, he did an interview with Candace Owens, I think maybe like 8 weeks after he left office. And she was very much an advocate for pardoning Snowden and Assange. She said to him, why wouldn't you pardon Edward Snowden? This is somebody who exposed the very agencies that victimized you, that blew the whistle on the abuses that they aimed at you. And he said, I came extremely close to pardoning one of them. Not so close to the other. I knew it was Snowden. And he just said, at the end of the day, there were people on one side saying he was a great guy who deserved it. Other people saying he was a bad guy. It was Mike Pompeo, principally, who was the CIA director.
Wasn't Mike Pompeo the same guy that wanted to kill Snowden, or the 2017 story?
Assange.
I didn't want to take him out. Yeah.
Yeah. There was he wanted to assassinate Julian Assange. I mean, that guy's a maniac. He was one of the worst people. One of the worst people in the first Trump administration was Mike Pompeo, responsible for a lot of the worst parts of the first Trump administration.
Would you put him as a Dick Cheney Jr. type?
I mean, that was the first administration. Trump really, and they'll tell you this, Trump had never been in Washington before. Washington is a cesspool. All of Washington is built to make sure that democracy doesn't matter. You have Democrats, Republican presidents come and go. And the idea is it can't matter. So they know how to manipulate. I mean, Obama came in, he was in politics for about 4 seconds. Suddenly he's the commander in chief. They manipulated him in about 3 days. He came in vowing to undo all these Bush-Cheney programs, the war on terror, and they sent in guys from Princeton, special forces guys with big medals on their chest, and they were like, sir, if you eliminate this program, you will have a terrorist attack. It will be on your hands, almost threatening. They know how to control the government, the election. And so Trump in that first term really didn't know how Washington worked. he ended up having a lot of people in his administration there to sabotage what he was doing, not to advance it. And that was the big difference between the first and second term.
It's almost as if he's had 8 years of experience to finally get to the point that he knows everybody, which now essentially, let's say this is his third term. It's not. It's a second term that he now knows he's full of shit. He's 50-50. That guy's bot. That guy's honest. That guy's driven by Israel. That guy's driven by war. That guy's driven by this. He finally has a little bit of a sense where everybody's at. Would you agree with that?
Oh, yeah. And beyond that, I would say that one of the things that there were so many things that made me hate the media more than ever in the first Trump term. Among the leading causes was that you had people in the Trump administration openly sabotaging his policies, the policies on which he ran, the policies that caused Americans to vote for him. We're supposed to have civilian control in the United States, meaning it's not generals that dictate our country. There's a lot of countries, as you well know, where the military dictates everything. That's not our country. We have civilian rule, a commander-in-chief, a civilian elected official is in charge of the military. Fundamental how the United States works. You had generals, like General Kelly, General Mattis, H.R. McMaster, who were openly telling the media, Trump's giving us this order to withdraw from Syria. Trump's giving us this order to do this, and we're not doing it. We're manipulating him. And they were celebrated for that by the media. Oh, these are the adults in the room. In other words, you had these unelected military officials there to do the bidding of the deep state and the establishment, undermining the elected president. And a lot of people inside the Trump administration were there to sabotage, not to advance what he was doing. Everyone I talked to in that interim period between when he left in 2020 and then was reelected in 2024 in close to Trump world, their number one mission was, how do we prevent that mistake? How do we foster a culture of loyalty so that people who work for Trump, whether they agree with him or not, I mean, Marco Rubio, I'm not convinced he agrees with Trump's vision of foreign policy. His whole life has been kind of a neoconservative vision, but they created a culture where everyone understands that you're there to carry out Trump's wishes and orders and policies, and if you don't, you're gone. And that's, for me, the big difference between the first and second administration is Trump learned how Washington works.
How much of that is Susie Wiles protecting it? How much of that is the fact that she is knowing everybody and is telling Trump, hey, we can't do that again. You can't be too forgiving with this guy. We got to move on with that guy. How much is her protecting him versus if not her, then who is it?
Oh, yeah, she's super smart. I mean, but, the thing is, at the end of the day, whenever you have power, and you look at the history of power centers throughout history, you have infiltration and snakes worming their way in. People just understand. People know how to flatter Trump, how to talk to Trump, how to convince Trump. Susie Wiles is an incredibly smart and ruthless operator. But Susie Wiles has been around for a long time. She was a big lobbyist. Her lobbying firm did work for Qatar, for foreign governments, for major corporations. She's not some anti-establishment rebel outsider, but Trump trusts her, and I think she sees her job as protecting Trump, and she's very good at that, so that is part of it. But I also think you have people like Stephen Miller, who is loyal to the death to Trump.
Would you put him at number one, biggest loyalist?
Yes, I think so.
Who's top three in your opinion?
Definitely Stephen Miller. I think he's very comfortable with Howard Lutkoff, who was the Commerce Secretary, he's known, these kind of
Witkoff,
people he's known
yeah.
forever. No, the Commerce Secretary, Howard
Lutnick. Yeah.
Howard Lutnick. I'm mixing him with Steve
Witkoff, yeah.
That's like a billionaire real estate guy.
Understand each other, similar life, New York, came up. Yeah.
Very transactional.
Who is the least? If those are the top, who are the least?
Well, I think he gets rid of if there's the least.
Is there anybody there that right now you're like, if things flipped in 2027, 2028, they would turn on Trump on a heartbeat?
I think Rubio would turn on Trump in a heartbeat. Rubio is Rubio wants to be president, and right now it's in Rubio's interest Rubio is probably the most powerful person in the administration, at least in foreign policy, probably Stephen Miller in domestic policy. I mean,
ahead of Vance?
Yes. I mean, Rubio's running the State Department and being the National Security Advisor.
Yeah. He joked about it one time in an interview. I'm working 2 jobs right now,
Yeah.
I don't know if you remember that or not when he joked about it.
No, yeah. I mean, the last person to do that was Henry Kissinger. And there's no more powerful foreign policy advisor in American history than Henry Kissinger.
And you saw Trump edified Rubio about a week and a half ago. He said, look, I don't know. I think some are saying that Rubio may be better than Kissinger was. He's kind of Kissinger leaked. Kissinger was famous for leaking. Do you remember that when he said that?
Yeah.
So he's trying to he's doing his part of being a kingmaker as well and trying to see who's going to run 2028. But you're saying Rubio could flip, huh? You think Rubio could turn on him?
I don't think Rubio is a true believer in the America First agenda in the way that J.D. Vance, I think, is.
You think J.D. is more than Rubio is?
Depending on how you define America First, it's when Trump bombed Iran, the idea was America First is whatever Trump says it is, right? Trump's the creator of the America First movement, the leader of it, the person who brought it into public consciousness. So there are no principles separate and apart from Trump's decision. I don't believe this. I think that's a cult of personality. That's not a political movement. Political movement is based on principles. So if you look at the principles on which America First is based, I think how the true believers understood what differentiated America First movement from prior Republican orthodoxy, I believe J.D. Vance is as convicted of a true believer as anybody in the administration, certainly far more than Marco Rubio. Just let's think of Ukraine, for example, which for me is kind of a flashpoint. Obviously, Israel is the main one. We can talk about that if you want, but I have a lot to say on that, obviously. But let's look at Ukraine, which people are less emotional about. Traditionally, the Republican position is go destroy Russia. Russia's our enemy. Who's ever our enemy, we go to war against, fund American allies till the end. Lots of Republicans, it got attributed to Biden because that was Biden's policy too. And the Democrats were super obsessed with Ukraine. You go to any liberal blue district in the United States and you see nothing but Ukrainian flags still. It became kind of a religion, almost like replacing the LGBT flag.
Pans was absolutely it was. Fully.
Bizarre.
Yeah.
But a lot of Republicans were fully on board with that as well, just because that's a standard, let's say, neocon, warmongering, kind of interventionist mindset that has driven both parties since the end of the the start of the Cold War, but even then the end. And one of the planks of America First was, no, we have to stop wasting all our resources on foreign wars that don't affect the lives of American citizens. Who gives a shit who rules various provinces in eastern Ukraine? That's not something that affects the forgotten man in Ohio or Pennsylvania, or that's a waste of money that's going to Raytheon's pocket and who knows what kind of oligarchs in Kiev. And that's the kind of wasteful war that MAGA and America First was created to oppose, and that's why Trump has been so contemptuous of this war. Marco Rubio has been a loud, vocal supporter of funding the war in Ukraine, whereas J.D. Vance from the start has been highly skeptical. So that, to me, just one example illustrative of, I think, what differentiates those two and why I think J.D. Vance is a much more faithful adherent to the America First agenda than, say, Marco Rubio. It's not even close.
So you prefer J.D.?
On those issues, yes. Even in that chat, remember in that chat that leaked
Waltz,
about the Waltz chat about bombing Yemen?
Yep.
JD was pushing back. He was saying are you? This doesn't seem like something we need to do right now. Why don't we wait a couple months? What's the urgency?
I remember that.
And then once it happened, he was like, yeah, kill them. But that's just how politicians
second guessing
operate.
himself is maybe the first second guessing is the true who he is, and then second step is I'm going to be loyalist and get in line.
Yeah, I mean, once he hears, no, Trump wants this. This is Stephen Miller said, Trump. This is decided. Trump wants this. Then he gets on board because that's how you survive, and you keep influence and power. But his first reactions was, wait a minute, why are we doing this? Same with Tulsi. That was her reaction too. I think Tulsi's a more faithful adherent to the America First agenda than a lot of the people surrounding Trump.
After 2 years of working on this, we have finally pulled it off. And let me tell you what it is. Every time we do the Vol conference, if you've attended, you know this. I stand up and I speak for probably 45 hours is what I do at the Vol conference. And I love it. I love being around the guys. I love it. But I wear the Ferragamo shoes when I do this. Or I wear some kind of dress shoes. Eventually, for the last 25 years, I've always been on stage walking. I'm like, you know what? I'm sick and tired of it. I want a shoe that I'm comfortable wearing. And here's what I love. I don't like shoes that are so heavy. That's a dumbbell. You can use it as a weapon. I don't want that. Like the Xenia, you carry it. I have so many of them, but they're so heavy. Like you can literally curl the Xenia, the shoes, and you'll get a pump within 30 reps. And I wanted the combination of the The Hoka, the On Cloud, the Super Foam, because there's a big thing going on right now with the Super Foam where the bottom of the shoe, you wear it, you know which ones I'm talking about, the On Cloud or the Hokas, right? They're so comfortable. And I said, what if we take luxury and then combine it with the super comfort? What would that look like? And let's build it in Italy. So what do? We went to Italy. We designed the shoe in Florida. We made the shoe in Italy in five of the factories. We went back and forth, God knows how many times. And by the way, the shoes we're about to launch and introduce to you right now, where you're going to see the video for the first time, I've been wearing those shoes for the last 22 days straight. I'm wearing them right now. I literally wear it with suits. I wore it yesterday when we went to lunch. I wear it every single day. It's the most comfortable shoes I have, yet it's authentic Italian leather. Rob, if you don't mind playing the video, go for it. Here's the video of the latest shoe, the FLBs. When we set out to create a shoe that blends comfort, function, and luxury, we had the choice to make it fast. We had the choice to make it cheap. We chose neither. Instead, we chose Tuscany, Italy. We chose true Italian craftsmanship, each pair touched by 50 skilled hands. We chose patience, spending 2 years perfecting every detail, and we chose the finest quality at every step. Introducing the Future Looks Bright collection. Not rushed, not disposable, not ordinary. Rather, intentional, luxurious, timeless.
Boom.
There you go. Designed in Florida, 100% made in Italy. 50 hands touch each shoe that was made. And here's what's unique about it. I want to kind of show this to everybody that knows this. And I've worn pretty much every one of these shoes. So if you compare this, the Italian leather, of course, it's made in Italy. It's not assembled, made in China, assembled in Italy, 100% made in Italy, assembled in Italy. It's FLBs, Berlutis, which are $1,840, Ferragamos are $895, Zennias are $1,190, and Gucci's are $950. Leather premium lining, all of them except for Gucci. Laceless feature, it's the FLBs, the Berlutis, you have laces, Ferragamos laceless, and then you have also the Zennias, and then the Gucci's have the laces. I don't want to wake up in the morning, put laces on. I want to get out the house. Took me 3 seconds to put my shoes on today. Craftsman, 5 different Italian factories all made this shoe. Berlutis are the same as us, as well as FLB. But the only shoe, these trainers, the only one in the world today, according to the factories that told me this in Italy, that has the super foam, the only one that has the same super foam used in the On Clouds and the Hokas, it's the FLBs, and they're officially out, and you can place the order. Here's a challenge. We only have 1,000 of these pairs. And when you say 1,000 of these pairs, they start from size, I believe, is it 8? It goes 8, 9, 10, 10 and a half, 11, 11 and a half, 12, 13. Those are the sizes that we have. And the shoes that you can get today, the colors, you have access to, Rob, if you can go back there, you can have access to those browns, which is absolutely beautiful. And by the way, the brown on the bottom, the stitching on the side is a left stitching. If you can change the picture, and on the bottom it says the future looks bright. Look at the white lines on the side. It's beautiful. The only ones we have right now that you can get sent out today are the black and the browns. If you do want the white to pre-order, I would highly recommend you do so. They're going to come out the second week of December. So the white and the navy blue comes out the second week of December. The browns and the blacks are available. If you believe the future looks bright as much as we do, go place the order. There's nothing like sitting in the boardroom with your trainers and you put your feet over your knee and people look at the bottom of your shoe and it says future looks bright. That's how you get deals done. All right, so they're out. I'm excited to announce it, and I'm very happy for people to go sport it. When you get them, take pictures, send it our way. We're going to show all these shoes, all the pictures that are being taken. I already got a bunch of them sent to me on Instagram. Go to vtmerch.com, place your order. It's all over the website. Maybe buy it for your husband, buy it for your brother, buy it for your coworkers, buy it for your best salespeople if you want to let them know the future looks bright. If you enjoyed this video, you want to watch more videos like this, click here. And if you want to watch the entire podcast, click here.